Alrighty, so now that you've been given an overview, right? Remember that no matter what option you choose, you all have to do this step together the same way. So, and again, I'm going to remind you that, from the time you submitted your GitHub username on the start here, the only lag would be is if it's late at night, right? So you need to have accepted the invite before you can do these steps. So I've had students in the past accidentally do these steps in their own GitHub area. So just make sure you have it. And I'm going to show you how you can. And actually, I'm going to show you the back, like what happens when you submit it as well. So here's what happens. Once you submit that assignment, I get, this is my view of Canvas. I get that it started here, and here's the username that was submitted. So here's what I do. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go over to where I have this logged in to GitHub right here. Okay, so this is the GitHub username that was provided. And I just want you to know, it's good to be logged into GitHub, but if you didn't, it's fine as well. So now coming back here, I'm going to go to my GitHub. And I'm going to go, now I use what's called Github Organizations. What this allows me to do, or allows us to do, is to have both public, which is pretty much anyone can see them, but private, which is only you and I can see them, repos. And repos are really just folders in a sense, but they're pretty sophisticated folders. And GitHub is really just allowing us to do version control of our software, but also our coding, our code that is version controlled. But as importantly, it allows you to submit your work for this class. Okay, now hopefully you had all that and that was a review. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to people. And I'm going to do what's called an invite. I'm going to invite somebody into this system. Oh, I couldn't figure out why I was not getting the invite. It was because I was not logged in as the standard email that I use. That would absolutely do it. Apologize for that. All right, come over here. Now I'm going to go into the organization, and now I'm going to see something that I didn't see before, which is a invite. Okay, so I'm going to invite, and this is where, when you've submitted this, whatever yours is, right, I go in here, and then I do invite. And you don't have to do anything else. You're going to be a regular. This is the part I do. You don't see this, okay? Now, what you will see, okay, and let me move back so you can just see this. What you will see on your side is in your email, you will get an invite to the organization, to the CIT93 organization. And if you do see that, then you can come in here and just join right there. But I have had occasions, for whatever reasons, where students gets dropped into their junk mail. They don't see it for whatever reason. So I'm going to show you a way. If for some reason you think, and I've already told you, because what I will do is I will reply back to you saying, yes, I invited you. And if for some reason you don't see it, I'm going to show you how to actually kind of get around this as well. So what you can do is, if you got the notice from me, but you didn't see the invite in your here, you could also come over to GitHub, and you could just click on the link in Canvas that I provide, or you can just type CIT93. What will happen is GitHub is smart enough to know that, that you've been invited in this organization. So what you could do is just hit View Invite and say, yeah, I want to join. And it gives you some information, right? Your public profile, two-factor is good. If you don't know about two-factor, you should. It's another way to help validate your authentication tokens. So more on that maybe later, but we'll go ahead and join. Cool. So now you're in here, right? So you've actually done, right, the first step. And I'm just going to roll back over here because I want you to see in my 93, because we're right here, right? So this is the part now. So now that you've joined the organization, here's the link, again, I was talking about, if for some reason you don't see the invite. So now we're going to create two repos, okay, two. We're going to create one that is going to be a private one, and one that's going to be a public one, okay? And we do this by using your first name, the first letter of your last name, private, And this is an or, right? Because I don't care which one you do first, doesn't matter. And in that process, I'll walk you through this. You'll see me do it. We're also going to create what's called a git ignore file. And a git ignore file is really just a file that says there's some files that I don't want you to track because they're not really related to coding and they just kind of mess up your GitHub a little, not mess up, maybe they just don't make it look as nice. And it's kind of just good etiquette. So it's good to learn etiquette in relationship to coding as well. All right, so let's just walk through this, but this is the instruction I want you to know I'm going on. So I'm going to come back over to my 93. This is you, so I'm simulating what you're now doing. I'm going to hit new. I'm going to come into 93. I'm going to accept the invitation. I'm going to hit new. I'm going to create my first one, which would be Brody, and then B would be for Bays, right? And then dash. And in this case, I'll just do private first. Doesn't really matter, okay? So Brody's private repo for CIT93. Okay, and we'll keep it private here. We'll go ahead and add a Readme file. And what I want you to do also is just add, it does not matter which one you use here, right? And this is just a template because we're going to end up overwriting this in a sec. So we'll just use the first one. Honestly, again, we're just going to overwrite this. And again, you'll learn more about this as we get into it. So I'm going to go ahead and say create the repo. And it's going to create that repo. And now you have your first repo set up. You have a git ignore file, which let's go ahead and actually do that step as well. So let me go back into Canvas to show you. So now you've created one, and we're going to click on this link. And you're just going to grab this. This first one we could have done without, but that's okay. This first one, because we're not going to do extensions, but doesn't hurt. And now I'm going to go back to Brode. I'm going to go back to your created one. I'm going to find this .gitignore file. Okay, look at all this stuff. And what you're going to do is notice there's a pencil here. Okay, the pencil allows you to edit. And the reason I'm kind of showing you this is saying this is probably the only thing I would ever recommend you edit on GitHub directly, because from here after, once you set up your environments, you'll be doing this stuff locally. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Again, I hit the pencil. I'm going to select all this. I'm going to paste that information. And then I'm going to scroll to the bottom. And I'm just going to let GitHub, and this is actually what we call the Git workflow. And these commands, you're going to end up learning those in the next series of videos. So don't worry about this too much, but just know what we're doing is we're committing this change into here, because this is how we're tracking code through this course. Okay, so now look at that. So now if I click on the private repo, I will see that this is what you should see: the Readme file, which we'll do a little work on later, and a git ignore with that updated information. So now we're going to do this again. Okay, so this time we're going to create the second repo, right? So remember, the private one is only between you and me, but the public one is going to be between you and everybody else in the class. So let's do new. Scroll up to the top. We're going to call this one, again, the first name, B dash pub for public. Okay, so Brody's public repo for CIT93. And this will be, in this case, public. So make sure you selected based on the name. We'll go ahead and do the same thing. We'll initialize here. We'll go ahead and do the first one. Again, it doesn't matter because we're going to fix it. And we're going to say create. Cool. So now the last step we need to do here is what we did before. We go into the git ignore file. We hit the pen. Select all the content, which, by the way, will Control A work there as well? It does. Control A is a shortcut for select all, so that's always good to know. And then I'm going to paste that because I still had it in my copy, right? So if you didn't, you'll just need to go back to Canvas and get it, and we'll go ahead and make those changes. All right, so you got a good introduction here to our organization because you've created repos inside of there, right? And I think that should give you what you need for this step. Let's go back here and just look real quick. And that's it. So I'm updating this. This is from fall. This will now be for this fall 2022 semester, taking into account some of this new content that we've been looking at. I hope this helps you out. Even though you don't have to submit anything for this particular item, this is required for you to do anything hereafter, so make sure you get it done. Ask for help if you need it. Talk to you later.